fellow page turners, welcome back to the channel. I'm Matthew, the man with a hat who reads. And today we're starting our year in review stuff. We're looking back at the year that has been as we are coming down the home stretch of 2025. And for today's video, we're talking about 5 surprises that I had this year in my reading. I like doing these videos, the 5 surprises and the 5 disappointments. We'll do the disappointments next week. And that's always a fun time. The surprises are fun, but not as much fun as doing the disappointments is. But these books are just the order I read them, essentially. I figured that was the best way to do it. So they're not really ranked, but I'm just kind of going by like, okay, I read these books. I liked these books more than I expected to. None of these will be on my best of the year list, so you don't have to worry about looking for them here. I'm not spoiling that list. I don't even know how I'm going to make that list, but we're going to do the best we can here. But let's start with one from February. I only wrote down half the title. Crap. It was Colton Gentry. I'll have the picture over here. I think Colton Gentry's Third Act, I think it was called. The picture will be over here. By Jeff Sentner. I had never read this author before. I picked this up thinking this would be just like a fun read for February when it's Valentine's month. It's a love story kind of thing. I actually really enjoyed this. This was very easy to read. It was very addicting to read. I flew through it pretty quickly, much quicker than I expected to. It's not a genre I typically read, but I really did enjoy this one. I liked the characters. I liked the problems. We did a lot of flashbacks and learned more about the characters. It was just a really good story. I really enjoyed it, and I didn't expect to enjoy it that much. It was a 4-star read for me in a month that had some disappointments. Matter of fact, we'll have one of those disappointments we'll talk about in a week or so. But it was an enjoyable read. I really was surprised by it. That he was the guy's this country music singer who kind of just destroys his career, and him kind of trying to reinvent himself by going back to his hometown, running into his old flame, and just kind of rebuilding his life from the ground up. And it was a good story. I really liked it, and I didn't expect to like it that much. Let's talk about The Moonstone from Wilkie Collins. We read this in March for Mystery March. Prior to me reading this, I said this was like one of the last classics I had in my physical TBR that I was going to read, because I wasn't having a good time with classics. If you look at my classics I read in 2024, it was not great. So I was kind of going to just take a break from them. Well, then I had this one yet, so I thought, well, I'll read this one. It's supposed to be a detective story. I'll read this one in March. This is one I really loved. And at the time I gave it 4 stars, but I'm almost thinking about, I've debated whether I want to raise it up higher than that. I don't think I will, though, because I did have some issues with how it was structured and how we kind of rehash information and give us a ton of information we don't need. It is a fairly thick book compared to some, but it moved along really quickly. I really liked the story. Again, the characters, everything's just, you're trying to solve this mystery, and if I remember, like, at the end, there really isn't a lot of resolution. They don't really know. They don't really kind of reveal everything at the end. They reveal quite a bit of it, but not everything is revealed. I really liked this. This is a great mystery title, and it does make me want to read more by Wilkie Collins. I haven't picked any up yet. I'm breaking my book buying ban next week, so I might see if I can't find another one by him, because I really enjoyed this and I want to read more from him. All right, jumping up to August, we have Elmore Leonard's Mr. Majestic. Elmore Leonard is an author I've read for years at this point. I read a lot of his Western stories first. I've read some of his more crime novels. And for the most part, a lot of them weren't always vibing with me. There was some I liked, but quite often I was just kind of like, it's okay. This one, I don't know what it was about this one. Maybe it was just that it wasn't very long. I flew through this thing in like 2 or 3 days. And I really, really liked this one. This one was my favorite Elmore Leonard I've read this year. I've read 4 of them at this point. And this one's easily the favorite I've read. I don't know if it's just because it felt very much like a John Wick type story, a revenge type story, but the guy just wants to harvest his watermelons that he's growing. I found that hilarious that was like the whole thing. He's just like so bound, determined he wants to harvest these watermelons. And it just cracked me up every time that was what we were coming back to. But I really liked this. Again, I keep saying that about all of these. I liked all of these that I'm talking about today. And this one, though, I was, like I said, Elmore Leonard's been hit or miss with me. And I was expecting this one to miss. Just because the other 2 I'd read prior to this one, I had hit. I was like, this one's going to miss. This is going to be one that misses. And it didn't miss. I actually liked this one more than the other 2 I'd read prior to that one. And the one I'm just finished here yesterday is... it's still good. It wasn't as good as this. I really enjoyed this one. Definitely check that out if you're looking to try Elmore Leonard. It's not very long. That or his Westerns. I should do a video about Elmore Leonard. I've read a lot of his stuff at this point. In September now... that one was in August. In September, we read Joe Haldeman's The Accidental Time Machine. At the time, I didn't think I had read Joe Haldeman, but then as I started this one, I was like, oh yeah, I read The Forever War. I'd completely forgot about it. That worried me going into this one, because if I couldn't even remember that I'd read the book by an author, that's not a good sign that it's a good sign the author might not be for me. This one I liked quite a bit. I did a review for it. It's a time travel novel. I like time travel novels. This one really is also a little bit more mystery because of the fact that we're with the characters. We don't know what's going on half the time because we're making these big jumps forward in time at all the time. And we never know exactly where he's going to end up or what's going on in the world he's kind of traveled into. And that's part of the fun because you can see all these different ideas that the author was kind of throwing around of these different time eras that he was creating. I really liked this. And I liked it for that reason, but I also didn't like it for that reason because of the fact that any of our supporting characters do not get any development at all. Because of the fact that we're mainly with this guy, he's leaping into this time, we meet a handful of characters, and then we're leaping away from them. So... but I enjoyed this quite a bit. This was a fun time. I would read it again. But yeah, it was a good one. Finally, the last one was a library book that I read in October. Claudia Lux's sign here. Picture over there. Again, I really liked this one. And this is one I had on my wish list at the library for 2 years. Almost, I think it was. And I kept putting it off because I thought, oh, I'm not in the mood. But it was really good. I really enjoyed this story about this demon trying to find a way to live again by essentially collecting these souls of his descendants. It was a really interesting story. The characters were all fun. It was funny at times, which I was not expecting it to be. And it got done and I wanted more. And that's always a good sign when you get to the end of a book and you want more. It was a fun one, along with all these other ones I've talked about. I keep saying that they were fun and they were good, but what else can I say? I had a really decent year with reading. I've had some nice surprises like these books I just talked about. I did have a few disappointments that we will, like I say, talk about in the next video. That one should be fun. I'm already looking at that list here. I'm going to make some enemies when I talk about some of these books, but that's just the nature of BookTube, isn't it? You make enemies once in a while. So that's the video, guys. I'd love to hear what you think. Was I wrong on any of these? Were any of these books ones you absolutely hated when you read them? And what was your biggest surprise read of 2025? I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep turning pages.